Welcome back. As the tenuous ceasefire in Gaza is largely holding, the humanitarian crisis caused by more than 2 years of conflict is showing no signs of abating. Millions of Palestinians are still in desperate need of food, water, and medical care. The World Central Kitchen, a nonprofit organization that provides meals in disaster-ravaged areas, just hit a remarkable milestone, now serving 1 million hot meals every single day in Gaza. Joining me now to discuss this is José Andrés, world-renowned chef and the founder and chief feeding officer of the World Central Kitchen. Thank you so much for being here, Chef Andrés.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's an honor, as always, to be able to talk to you about your literally life-saving work that you are doing. You are now serving 1 million hot meals in Gaza a day. Talk about how you reached that milestone.
Well, it's a bittersweet celebration. I've been talking through Zoom with the teams. I was there a few weeks ago, just at the end of last year. And the teams obviously were celebrating. They were happy. We have Palestinians feeding Palestinians, the people of Gaza taking care of their problems. How we do that? We have 6 major World Central Kitchens that we produce on each one around 100,000 meals a day. But we have a lot of other kitchen partners. We have more than 60. We have restaurants. We need to start supporting local restaurants. So we start thinking about rebuilding the infrastructure. Obviously, we have big teams in Jordan, in Egypt, that they are able to keep sending trucks daily. But, you know, more is more need. It's the need of more food, more fresh vegetables, more water purification systems. We need more, the hospitals need medical care. We need to increase the medical care. The people of Gaza need tents. They're living under very difficult conditions. This winter has been terrible. So what we are celebrating, for us, is more than a celebration, is to remind the world that we need to do more. More food needs to go in, more baby formula needs to go in. The need in Gaza is still very much in need of America, the Arab countries, Israel, everybody, to make sure that the people of Gaza are taken care of.
And Chef Andrés, how do you keep up this pace, given the need that you lay out that is not diminishing in this moment? Well,
World Central Kitchen, we are an emergency organization. We go, we take care of the short-term problems. Sometimes we are in places weeks, months, sometimes years, but we go in and we go. Right now, there is still an emergency. World Central Kitchen adapts very well. Gaza, over the last years, has been a situation of adapting every single day. That's why World Central Kitchen does well in those scenarios. And the ceasefire and hopefully the next phase of the peace deal will allow total bombing completely put to stop, where the trucks keep coming in, where all the humanitarian organizations are allowed unrestricted access to Gaza. So again, we can be taking care of the needs of Gaza, not tomorrow, not next month, but today.
You have been taking care of the needs of Gaza before the ceasefire went into effect. What are your teams on the ground there? What are you seeing as some of the major differences?
Well, obviously, the ceasefire and the initial, whatever is the next peace phase, has helped. The continuous truck arrival, you know, in the hundreds a week has been sustained. But in a way, it's not enough. We need to make sure that we put everything in place to allow all the trucks that they want to go in, to bring all the tents, to increase the food, to increase the medical care. Reconstruction has to start yesterday. The people of Gaza are really living under unseen conditions. It's 2 million people that very much all of them are without jobs, and they need our help. Therefore, whatever we do is not going to be enough today. So the 1 million is just a call to action. Let's hope that this kind of peace conversation is going to be happening in the next days, led by President Trump here in Washington, D.C., mainly about Gaza, is going to be bringing these very simple results. What do we have to do to cover all the needs of the people of Gaza today? What do we do with reconstruction? And more important, the people of Gaza, they need to be on that table where they are talking about the future of Gaza. We cannot talk about the future of Gaza without Palestinians on that table.
And of course, no ceasefire yet in Ukraine. where people continue to be killed by the day. You have been in Ukraine as well, trying to feed and nourish the people there. What is the status of your efforts in that country?
Balls and Drug Kitchen is still very involved, specifically near the front lines where there are hundreds of thousands of people very much because lack of infrastructure, they need our help. Obviously, because this has been a very, very bad winter, cities like Kyiv, Dnipro, Kharkiv, other places, nobody has heat out of the homes. We're bringing soup. Believe it or not, hot soup at night is the only thing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people in Ukraine have to say they're close to something like this warm. The situation is terrible. The drones keep coming down. I want only to remind everybody this. On the last year, the attacks to civilian infrastructure buildings has almost increased 1,000%. So I love the leadership that President Trump is trying to bring forward in saying that it's going to be a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. But who is attacking Ukraine every day? That's Russia. And the attacks have only but increased. Let's hope that we get a phone call from President Trump to Putin telling him, can you stop today attacking every single civilian infrastructure, every school, every hospital? This cannot continue. And Europe cannot allow it, and America cannot allow it. The free world cannot allow what Russia is doing to Ukraine today.
All right. And we are so grateful for the work that you are doing to save lives, to nourish people. Thank you so much, Chef José Andrés. We always appreciate hearing your perspective and about your work.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.